Hello and welcome. This is Warren Street. I've just got off the bus. It's a glorious day and we're just about to walk around a glorious area of London, my childhood area of Bloomsbury. We're about to go left and then walk up Gower Street. This is the area that was originally owned by the Southampton estate, which also owned areas of North London. I have to say, I do have a real affinity for the BT Tower. It was originally called the Post Office Tower. Unfortunately, I was born the same year the tower was bombed and shut its doors to the public in 1980, so I never got a chance to go up there. So it was always seen as an IRA attack. As a kid, I loved the Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds, and I think that got me into science fiction. So the BT Tower always looked like the future in the middle of Georgian London. You know, definitely very 1970s Doctor Who. You know, the tower, to me, you know, it's like a reflection of Tom Baker's Doctor Who of that period. You know, quirky, whimsical, and brooding. So Lewis's was a big publisher, bookseller. Obviously they're on Gower Street because of the universities here, so they played a big role in the field of medical and scientific publishing. I think up until 1989, I think they were dissolved then. So for a long time, you know, and obviously they're feeding the universities in the area. So the Bloomsbury estate was originally agricultural fields, and in the late 1600s onwards, the landowning families of the Russells, Gowers, along with their aristocratic titles like Southampton and Bedford, developed the area, and this created the names of the area that we see today. So, for example, the fourth Duke of Bedford, John Russell, obviously Russell Square, and I think there's quite a few Bedfords and Bedford Hotel, I think, as well. So the fourth Duke of Bedford, unfortunately, he lost his first wife, and then he married Lady Gertrude Leveson Gower. So Gower Street is named after Gertrude, and it's one of the longest, or if not the longest, Georgian terrace, unbroken Georgian terraces in London. Yeah, so on the right hand side, that's the green, new modern UCL hospital. Both my nephew and niece were born there. Boring hospital. And the one behind it is where me and my brother were born. So that was the old teaching hospital. That was the proper old, Victorian, Hogwarts. That's what it's all about. So I was born there in 1971. It's a teaching hospital. And UCL, SOAS, University of London and Birkbeck College were built on a plot of land here in the 1820s as an alternative university to the Anglican-dominated institutions at Oxford and Cambridge. So it was known as the godless institution of Gower Street, and opened its doors in 1828. So just across the road, the teaching hospital opened just 6 years later in 1834, and the first major operation using ether as an anaesthetic in Europe was performed there in 1846. In the 1840s, the students at the medical students at the teaching hospital developed a form of slang known as Marowskaying. I think it's named after a Polish count, or medical Greek, or of course the one I like, the Gower Street dialect. So it's so they swap one or two letters around, and so, for example, instead of saying a mutton chop, they say a chut and mop, or smoking a pipe, poking a snipe. So, you know, great stuff. I mean, I love My Fair Lady, absolutely love it. So, you know, and obviously rhyming slang is brilliant. So, you know, that was great. So, and you can see on this road as well the very distinctive black colour of the bricks. As I said, this is one of the longest Georgian terraces in London, and it's very distinctive around here. You see a lot of you know, dark. I mean, obviously Downing Street was very similar, so I didn't know why, but I saw on the great YouTube channel Skill Builder, which I'll show a link below. He was showing how what they would do is they would scoop up the top soil, so, you know, where all the soot and the, you know, grime, not very clean soil, to be honest. So they'd dig that up, like the topsoil, and then they'd bake the bricks on the spot. So you'd have, as they're digging, you know, the ground obviously going down, and then they're baking the bricks on the spot, and they're building the terraces and the crescents. And so the gardens, then they would turn that space into the garden. So whenever you walk around here, the gardens are always on a lower level, because that's where they were actually digging up the soil to make the bricks. And as I said, they do it on site. Typically, as soon as all the posh inhabitants had got their buildings and squares completed, then they quickly passed the law saying it was too polluting and noisy to do this anymore. So they obviously didn't want the neighbours affecting them. So then bricks had to be imported after that from outside of London. So that's why the later houses have got much more orange-looking brick, because it was much cleaner. And again, a lot of the buildings along here that are not used as a university, hospital, or the obviously the university, they're boutique hotels around here. So this has been, you know, it's a long tradition since the 19th century, when the houses were, I think, illegally converted into boarding houses, and the Bedford Estates tried to close them down because they wanted to keep it for genteel residents. But you can see that the whole area, as we move around, they're all hotel, you know, boarding houses, and obviously hotels. I remember as a kid, you know, the only tourists you'd have were Americans, really, and they all you know, sort of stayed in places around there, around here. One famous resident was Charles Darwin. He rented the house number 110, and his daughter was saying about how much they laughed about how ugly their house was, and they called it House Macaw Cottage, because they said it was a very hideous place. And he did his theories of evolution here, and then he had to move to Kent because his health was deteriorating. So again, you know, Darwin, Dickens, a whole lot of other really creative and talented people lived on this street in the 19th century, and you can really feel it. The atmosphere here is absolutely wonderful. I love this area. And this street, Gower Street, is a community line to my childhood community of Tavistock Place. So I'm just about to go through the boundary line of what I've always thought of as the beginning of my childhood neighbourhood of Bloomsbury now. So see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.